The storm raged. Wind howled. It was a night that seemed to have no end, with the elements unleashing their full fury upon our small, vulnerable home. The windows shook violently, as if they might shatter at any moment, and the walls creaked under the pressure of the relentless wind. The sound was deafening, a constant roar that drowned out all other noises. Rain lashed against the house. It was as if the sky itself had opened up, pouring its wrath upon us. The water streamed down the windows in torrents, creating a mesmerizing yet terrifying pattern. Each drop seemed to carry the weight of the storm, hammering against the glass with unyielding force. It was unlike any storm I had seen. The sheer intensity of it was overwhelming, a force of nature that seemed almost sentient in its anger. The sky was a swirling mass of dark clouds, illuminated by frequent flashes of lightning that cast eerie shadows throughout the house. Thunder rumbled continuously, a deep, menacing growl that seemed to shake the very foundation of our home. We lived in a flood zone. Evacuation orders came early. We knew the drill. Pack essentials, gather the family, head to the attic. It was a routine we had practiced many times, but this storm felt different. There was an urgency in the air, a sense of impending doom that made our movements more frantic. We grabbed what we could, the essentials that would help us survive the night, and made our way to the attic. The highest point in our old house, we huddled together. The attic was our last refuge, the highest point in our old house, where we hoped the floodwaters wouldn't reach. We sat close, drawing comfort from each other's presence, trying to stay calm despite the fear that gnawed at our insides. My wife, 2 children, and our dog. Our small family, united in the face of the storm. Even our dog sensed the danger, staying close and quiet, his usual playful energy replaced by a somber stillness. Fear hung heavy in the air. It was palpable, a thick, suffocating presence that made it hard to breathe. We tried to stay positive, to reassure each other with forced smiles and whispered words of comfort. But the fear was always there, lurking just beneath the surface. We listened to the storm's fury. Hours crawled by. The storm intensified. Then the unthinkable happened. Floodwater, rising, relentless. It breached our sanctuary. The water seeped in slowly at first, a trickle that quickly turned into a torrent. Our safe haven was no longer safe. Panic set in as we realized the gravity of our situation. We scrambled onto the rafters, just in time. The water kept rising. We clung to the wooden beams, our last hope of staying above the rising flood. The water was cold, a stark contrast to the heat of our fear. We watched in horror as it continued to rise, inching closer and closer to the ceiling. It stopped just below the attic ceiling. We were trapped. The water finally stopped, but we were left with no way out. Trapped in the attic, with the storm still raging outside and the floodwater just below us. It was a nightmare come to life. 5 souls, surrounded by darkness and the roar of the storm. 180 hours. The darkness was absolute, broken only by the occasional flash of lightning. The roar of the storm was a constant reminder of the danger we were in. We huddled together, drawing strength from each other, trying to stay hopeful despite the overwhelming odds. That's how long we endured. 180 hours of fear, uncertainty, and hope. We clung to each other, drawing strength from our unity, and somehow we made it through. The storm eventually passed, but the memory of those harrowing hours will stay with us forever. The initial shock subsided. We took stock of our situation: limited food and water, a single flashlight, the air thick with humidity. Fear was a constant companion, but hope flickered. We had each other. We had survived the worst. We organized our meager supplies, rationed food and water, used old blankets for warmth. The attic, once a forgotten space, became our haven, our refuge from the storm's wrath. Days turned into nights, the attic stifling during the day, the heat relentless, our thirst unquenchable. We conserved energy, spoke little, each word an exertion. Hunger gnawed at our bellies, the small rations a poor substitute for a proper meal. The children, brave but weary, they looked to us for reassurance. We offered what we could. Empty words felt hollow, yet we clung to hope, hope of rescue, hope of seeing the sun again. The silence was deafening, broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water, a constant reminder of our predicament. We longed for the sounds of life, the laughter of children playing, the chirping of birds, anything but the oppressive silence. Thoughts raced through my mind. Doubts crept in. Would we ever escape this attic? Would we see our loved ones again? The uncertainty was unbearable. Section 5. Finding light in the darkness. Despite the fear, we found moments of grace. We shared stories, sang songs, played simple games, anything to distract ourselves from the grim reality. The children, resilient souls, found wonder in the mundane. A cobweb transformed into a magical tapestry. A dust bunny, a playful creature, their innocence, a beacon of light. Section 6. The will to endure. As days turned into a week, our resolve was tested. The lack of food and water took its toll. We grew weaker. Despair threatened to consume us, but we refused to give in. We drew strength from each other. We clung to the belief that we would be rescued. The human spirit is a powerful force. It can endure unimaginable hardships. We were living proof of that. Section 7. Rescue and Relief. On the seventh day, a sound pierced the silence. It was a sound we had been longing to hear, a sound that brought with it a glimmer of hope. The whirring of helicopter blades. Hope surged through us. We were not forgotten. The sound grew louder, and our hearts raced with anticipation. We scrambled to the attic window, waved our arms frantically. The helicopter circled overhead. Then it landed nearby. We could hardly believe our eyes. Relief washed over us like a tidal wave. We were saved. Tears of joy streamed down our faces as we hugged each other tightly. As we emerged from the attic, blinking in the sunlight, we felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Gratitude for our lives. Gratitude for each other. The nightmare was finally over, and we could start to rebuild. Section 8. The Attic's Lesson. The attic held us captive for 180 hours. It was a time of uncertainty and fear, where every creak and groan of the old wooden beams seemed to echo our anxieties. But it also taught us invaluable lessons. Lesson about resilience, about finding strength within ourselves that we never knew existed, about the power of the human spirit, which can endure even the most trying circumstances, about the importance of family and hope. We realized that our bonds grew stronger as we faced the challenges together. We learned that even in the darkest of times, when it feels like the world is closing in on us, there is always light to be found. Sometimes it's just a small glimmer, but it's enough to guide us through. We learned that we are stronger than we think we are. Our limits are often just illusions, and we can push past them. And we learned that no matter what life throws our way, whether it's fear, uncertainty, or hardship, we can overcome it together. Together we are an unbreakable force, capable of facing any storm. Section 9. Gratitude and Growth. Life after the attic is different. We appreciate the simple things: a glass of water, a warm meal, the sound of laughter. We are forever changed by our experience. The attic is a reminder of our resilience, a symbol of our strength. It is a place we never want to see again, but it is also a place we will never forget.